All right, I want to ask, as we open this up today, is there anything that you want to speak on or speak about?
Yes, we would like to speak about last week and the power of emotion. And the power of, we will say, past life dynamics as well as current life dynamics at play. It is important to understand the impact of strong emotions on the energetic body as well as the channeling, as well as your gifts in general. You have seen, as of last week, that the strong emotions of doubt and grief have a way of suppressing much energy. This makes things very difficult for the human body to access, and it is important for others to understand this as well. Many people wonder why they cannot access the information that they are trying to receive. Many times, this can happen with people who have passed on. The living ask, why am I not receiving the messages that they are trying to send me if this is real, so you speak? I am not receiving it. We are here to tell you that the emotions of grief are so strong that they will suppress all of your abilities to access anything higher than yourself. And it is important to do the inner work in order to rebalance, we will say, yourself, in order to receive the information that you are interested in getting. Now on to last week. These are patterns that have repeated through past life and current life that are echoing for healing and completion. Last week we had mentioned the difficulty with hierarchy and assumed authority over oneself. It's important not to put so much stock into individuals who have more experience than you do, as it is important to understand that the acceleration process of spiritual abilities and wisdom and understanding is at an all-time high in your reality currently.
And so what is important about this? What do we need to understand?
Consciousness. The understandings within the ether are accessible to anyone who would like to access them. It is not based on who has more experience or not. Granted, more experience can prove helpful in accessing different layers of information. However, it does not make one less than if they do not have the experience that another does.
So, if we have all of these emotions stored within the body, or we're experiencing all of these emotions, is that why everybody's feeling emotions so heightened as of the last year or two? Specifically to purge it or to clear them so that they can, I don't want to say rise in frequency, but that's the best words that I have for that.
Yes, precisely. This is correct. It is we will use the word detox of sorts, of the emotional energy that is no longer coherent or in alignment with your soul's path. There is much purging happening in terms of energetic clearing, and this is why you are seeing more mental health topics on the rise. You will in the future see more somatic practitioners coming up, as well as more work with sound and different healing modalities. There is going to be a shift in focus to clearing emotions out of the physical body, the energetic vibration and resonance of the stronger, more dense emotions. There will be different healing modalities coming to the surface in order to help clear those, as a new understanding of not only the mind is important, but the somatic issues within the human body are also important to dispel in order to feel more, we will say, clear, so to speak. It allows you to access more information, wisdom, and sensory input from your human body without much density of the more heavier emotions, we will say.
Why is this so important now when, people have been walking around like this for generations and still been able to spiritually connect in? There's shamans, there's, different people who connect in or have abilities or genetic lines or families. Why is it so important now?
This is the self-revolution that we are talking about. This is, we will say, awakening your own inner sense, your own inner compass, as many have been living in a non-constructive state of being. And what we mean by this is allowing your agency to be outsourced to others. And this is a time of mass awakening, which many souls have come in order to do. And thus there is a need and a reliance on self that is necessary. Understanding your own system and how it works within your population is beneficial. And understanding the emotions and how they affect your energy body and physical body are also important, as there is much need in understanding this moving forward when it comes to illness and the things arising within your sphere.
Well, there's much illness. Everywhere it seems more, we seem sicker than we've ever been. So how are we supposed to get out of this cycle of sickness? And I've noticed also that the more spiritual we become, the more we rise, the more the body's sensitive to any and every little thing. It's not easier to get sick, but it's easier to notice a system going awry. So how do we navigate this type of new place that we're existing in?
This is not necessarily a bad thing, becoming more sensitive to your surroundings and having deeper understandings of these issues. It is for a reason, as they can be used as teachers. Many within your reality are coming to the understanding that a lot of what is created, we will say, to be easeful to your human life, is not necessarily the highest option. Shortcuts and easeful ways of being, such as using processed foods and alcohols to numb or to feel better, is not necessarily helping you at all. It is making things quite worse, actually, which is why you are having this purging and detoxing happening. There is going to be a new shift into the alignment of working with the earth and returning to old roots of being that take a little bit more time, as you are finding that these are more fulfilling than your day-to-day things now.
Well, at this point, we have built up so much of society that we have lost much land, where many don't have access to do that anymore. It's a rare person who owns land, who has the ability to homestead or farm. And so how are we supposed to go back to these ways when we've shifted so far from it? I know those of us like me who do that, but it is not normal for most to have time to access and do these things.
Yes, but this is where your shift in consciousness will go. Of course, depending on what timeline you are in. However, owning land is not necessary in order to learn how to do different things, such as gardening or working with plants or working with the earth, as many can do this indoors as well as out on a patio or on a stoop or things like that. It is not inaccessible to everyone. There is an option to learn to do these things. And many won't necessarily be working with live plants. Many might be working with dried herbs or things of that nature, returning to the earth. And some will work with the earth in terms of energy or materials such as crystals. There is many different understandings coming to the surface and ways of being that are going to be, we will say, reviewed and considered as more fulfilling ways of being.
So something that I had come across recently where they were talking about medicinal herbs and plants and how they have been genetically bred over time to be less effective than they were in generations past. So what are we to do when the natural medicines and things and plants that we are to work with are they more ineffective than they were before? How do we navigate that?
What we will say is this: there is a deeper understanding of your own energy and the life force that is created when you work with these things. The creations in which you make, you give life to. You give energy to as well. And thus you can change the frequency as well as the dynamics of the creation you are working with. Another thing that we would like to add is where you are receiving these, we will say, seeds or materials in which you are obtaining, as the energy from which you receive them from is also very important to pay attention to. However, it is not, we will say, unlikely that you are able to rebalance what is received if you receive it from a, we will say, not so aligned place, if that makes sense. You are able to work with the energy to change it if you so wish. This is why when you are, we'll say, eating out or eating food from somebody who is making it with not great intent or having a bad day, there is a way to change the frequency and the vibration of the food that you are eating to be more suitable for your own energy. And thus, many creations in which you are working with are able to do the same.
Well, on that topic, I have noticed that as I'm giving appreciation to my food and working with it, like we have talked about, giving thanks to it, my energetic reaction to different meals that I sit in front of are different, even with that thanks. Is that because, and this is just me playing with it, are some foods reacting more strongly because they are better for my body? With that, it's like an energetic thing that moves through the body when I give thanks. I feel it either more strongly or more muted. Is that because the food availability or its compatibility with my body is more efficient when that energetic feel is stronger?
Yes, but there are many different dynamics to this situation at play. Not only the gratitude that you are sending to the food, but the, we will say, complex makeup of the food you are ingesting, as well as the emotional state in which you are in to receive that. This combination can become very convoluted and confusing, so we do not want to send you into a tailspin with all this information. However, before eating, maybe taking stock of where you are at emotionally and energetic-wise before you eat the food, making note of that, as well as how you feel giving thanks to the food and seeing how you react. It'll be interesting to see how you feel when you are having an off day, giving thanks to food and ingesting that, versus when you are having a very joyful experience. And this is not to say that things will go awry if you are having a bad day, or you will not receive the nutritional complexities that you wish to receive. But a fun experiment, so to say.
It has been interesting, and I was not expecting those reactions as I've been giving thanks to my food and blessing it, so to say. Every time I do that, it's a different reaction, and so I was curious as to why that seems so different every time. So that helps.
Well, this also will be different for each individual person as well, which is why we do not want to give a lot of information, as it will lead you down a path that might not be the most optimal for those who listen to this. However, just taking stock of where you are at and the food you are eating and how you feel can be beneficial. Not reading too much into it as to cause anxiety to the mind and body of oh my goodness, this is not going the way that I wanted to. But just as a fun experiment of learning more about your energy and the energy of the food that you are eating. It can give you more information into how your body works and what works best for your body.
It has definitely been a fun experiment and a deep curiosity. More than anything, I still very much enjoy my food.
Food is definitely a fun thing to experiment with, as well as different materials on your earth. How you feel in the swimming pool or in the shower, or how you feel going for a walk, and what your energy is like and how it shifts. Learning your energy system and your physical body and how it reacts to the world is beneficial for all that are listening, as you are learning your own language and what works best for you. This can also help developing your discernment and knowing the best tools for emotional regulation and energy regulation.
So is there anything else that you wanted to speak on today that is important or that you want to cover?
We know in times like this there is high fear-mongering and difficulty with your day-to-day world. We know that there is much purging and much difficulty at play currently, as there are many shifts happening within your cosmos and your specific energy fields and the earth. And we would like to just remind you to be patient with yourself, and when you are feeling, we will say, down or tired or exhausted, to use that time to fill your cup in a way that is beneficial. Not in a way that causes guilt or that you need to keep producing or doing or what have you. But to use that time to really come home to yourself, as this is an important thing to note.
And so is there anything else about that that's important?
Not at this time.
Is it okay to ask some questions?
Yes.
We've been extremely tired lately, like beyond normal tired, to the point where it's almost detrimental. Why has that been happening?
So they're showing me like two different, like they're showing me like the earth, and they're showing me like the physical person. And it's almost like the earth energy is shifting and changing. Like I see it rising, like it's like a meter again, like it's like the meter is rising. And like the human needs to, it's like working to meet the earth where it's at or where it's rising to. So it's like your body and it's the physical reactions to the energy shifting.
So it's just an adjustment, trying to catch up.
Yes, and it is different for everyone.
Well, it's one of the questions actually kind of pertains to what you were speaking on. Is there really still so much to process in this life after you have already faced and processed so much of what you've gone through? Pain, trauma, emotions. I feel like now we're moving into a lot of past life connections into this life and how they affect our current life. But does it ever get to a point where there is much less to process and heal, because it seems like once we clear one thing, there's something else right behind it, and we've done so much processing already.
For you two specifically, yes, there is much to process, as you have come into this life in order to do that type of work and to be a lighthouse of that type of work for others. And so you will run into many who are similar to you that are continuously processing and working through past life dramas and dilemmas, as well as current life ones as well. This is a coming online, so to speak, where many lives you have lived in purgatory and persecution and what have you. And thus, that heavy energy needs to be processed and worked through. As Kaylah in specific has come in with much denser energy body and thus needs to be worked through. Yours, dense as well, but not as dense, we will say. However, there is much past life issues that are being worked through for you in terms of your physical health currently, with, we will say, the heart situation, as well as now the lungs and the outdoor acclimation to that. Kaylah's is more of a mental issue, causing issues with the body, and yours is more of the physical, energetic issues. This is why it seems like you are continuously processing, as you are in a purging of sorts in order to do the work that you are meant to do. However, later in life, you will find that there is not as much processing happening as you are doing work with others to help them in their processing path of life. So we will say, do not fret, and also to look at this as not so much a negative experience of processing and the daunting task of doing it, as this is a perception issue and a mindset issue.
I've kind of gotten used to it, and I'm not worried about it so much as I just wondered if this was going to be for life.
It is not a life sentence, however. The way in which you are perceiving it definitely impacts how steady and how it goes, and where your energy flows, we will say.
Well, we do have more fun with it than we used to.
You have quite made a 180 from where you were, we will say. You process things much quicker and get through them with more ease than before. However, there is still work to be had on your mindset and the way that you view it.
So can you help us with this energy difference right now where we are struggling to keep up with the Earth's energy?
Yes.
Is there anything that the body needs to keep up with this or to rise more comfortably?
Increasing a magnesium intake can be helpful to the electrical system, which can quite take a hit when the Earth energy is shifting.
That's helpful. So where we are energetically, I know there's not really a way to gauge it so that we understand it, but we've done so much over the last few years. Where are we energetically? Is there a way to gauge that, in not necessarily in comparison, but to where we were? And then how does that affect our navigating the world around us?
What we will say is this. The rising consciousness is much higher than it has been ever before. There are many people who have chosen to step into their abilities and awaken to the spiritual realm, as in the coming months and years you will see a mainstream similarity in terms of spiritual information becoming more current, more everyday, and it will become your natural reality. Whereas before, in previous years, decades, and generations, it has been more so suppressed to the spiritual aspect of your life. There will be more practitioners and more understandings and wisdoms coming to the surface about the spiritual realm and how you can work with it. And it will not become as taboo as it has been. And this is for a reason, as you are making a shift from an old paradigm to a new one. One that is more expansive, more free, and more consciously aligned than ever before. But this is an active choice on the participants within your sphere. Not everyone will make this shift, and it is important not to force it. You may see things with quite a lot of clarity, and good on you for doing that. But there will be many that do not, and will not, and do not want to. And it is important to understand that forcing one into this reality with you will never quite work, as you are bringing yourself back down. Allowing people to have their own process is important.
I have actually been seeing those attacks, more so on social media, where they're attacking people with abilities, those who are helping other people, and then turning on them. And it's quite difficult to see how much they are attacked for that. Obviously, mostly coming from the Christian community, but is that what you're speaking on? are those who will not be in this realm, this aspect of spirituality. No matter where they come from or what background and belief they have.
I keep just hearing it depends, it's variable. However, there is the potential for an opening. People that are on this path of staying where they are and having an unwillingness to move forward, it is not a sentencing of this path forever. Throughout their lives, there will be many different openings and windows into consciousness that is different from what they are experiencing, and they are able to step into that if they so wish. And you staying in your own lane and minding your own business allows your energy frequency to be present and expansive, and those that are on a certain path that come in contact with you can become activated, so to speak, and see that window. And this is not to say that you should be a lighthouse or a guide and make that your thing, as that is okay if you so wish. However, that is more so focusing on what another is doing and not focusing on minding your own business. We say all this to give the message of staying in your own lane and understanding yourself and where you are going not only impacts you, but it impacts those around you. But not to get caught up in what others around you are doing. Allowing yourself to live your life path and allowing another to have the experiences their soul needs as well, without intervention, is important.
And I'm not villainizing Christianity or any other belief system. I wholeheartedly believe in allowing each person to utilize whatever tool or path that they need to get to where they're going. I just have noticed the polarity and the attacks from either side have been very strong, like many things today. So that's why I asked.
Yes, but we do think that this is a good example, as many who label themselves with a certain religion, we will say white knuckle their beliefs with an inability to allow themselves to be open to another possibility. And this keeps them stuck as well and in the loop of denial, as well as difficulty with seeing another and accepting another for who they are. And this is the consciousness in which you are moving into, more expansive and accepting and open-minded. And the more that you white knuckle onto beliefs that may not quite align with the truth of your soul or where you are going, it makes it difficult for you to move forward and can result in quite an imbalance of energy for yourself and your path. However, these individuals do have these openings of consciousness and the ability to step into a different understanding if they so wish. However, it is important not to get caught up in the rhetoric online or in the day-to-day or the judgments of another, as that is their fear response to something that they do not quite understand or that they have not been taught about. It is quite different from their own paradigm that they are living in. And thus the knee-jerk reaction is to react with fear. It is to react with judgment. It is, I'm going to put this on you because I do not quite understand it, and you are bad and you are this and you are that. And it is important to understand that another's judgments of you have nothing to do with you. It's everything to do with their own fear and their own reaction to something that they don't know quite much about. It is important not to get caught in this cycle of reaction and to allow someone to have their process and understandings and know that that does not impact you. something that you can do, and this is not to say to close somebody out or to put a guard up, but you can imagine a protective barrier between you and another who is judging you, and not allowing that energy to penetrate your barrier, so to speak. Allowing them to have their process and you to have yours. And you can just quite say, I have a different view than that, and that is okay. And moving on.
Peaceful.
Correct. The more you get caught into it, the more your energy shifts and the more dense energy comes to the surface. And it keeps you stuck and it makes you feel like you can't quite move forward. And this is because you are taking on an energy that is not your own. When you focus on your own viewpoint, not to say that you don't get caught up in viewpoints that are quite unbalanced, but if you move through your own truth and your trust in yourself, this will keep your energy in alignment, and much balance will come from this, as the outside world will not have as much impact over your emotional and energetic stance.